Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Dave from Timber Time Outdoors. Hey, a quick little update video on our food plots. So planted food plots 7 weeks ago and going to give you kind of an update on how things have grown. We got a couple of experiments with cover crops that I want to talk about. Give you an update on the beans that we planted. And so hopefully you guys can learn a little bit here. Thanks for being with us, and remember, keep it in the timber, everybody.
Hey now, take a step outside and seize the day now.
All right guys, what you're looking at here is a kind of an experiment. This is a cover crop that we tried. So this is an annual clover and chickweed mix. So there's your chickweed and there's your clover. This is a small plot, and this has been growing for about 7 weeks. So today is like the end of July 23rd. And so this was planted 7 weeks ago. You know, it didn't fill in all that well. Where it was sunnier and drier, it didn't do so well. I guess what we're kind of thinking here is that, you know, the whole point of this cover crop wasn't to feed deer per se. It probably was getting browsed a little bit, but it was more about trying to build soil. So we've been trying to experiment with different plants to build soil. You know, soybeans, they get browsed so bad. I'll show you here some buckwheat that we are experimenting with as well. But we're kind of to the point now where we may just do beans and just kind of, you know, give up on these 7 weeks here as far as building soil. We'll just let the rye do that when the rye comes up in the spring, because that does a good job of building soil. But we wanted to try to, you know, always keep something growing on the ground here. And even though this did grow, it, to be honest, didn't do a whole lot for us. So we're going to kind of call this clover chickweed cover crop a fail at this point, and check the box and move on to something else. But we're looking for that ultimate cover crop for the summer months, and we don't feel like we have that yet. For those of you that think that seed doesn't matter, we got a comparison here. So this seed right here is Whitetail Institute Imperial Clover. Ridiculously expensive stuff, right? But we've always had good luck with their products. We just don't like their prices. So you know, this is the best patch here. This is like trying to grow stuff on a parking lot, and so it's not perfect everywhere. There's some weeds in here, and you know, it's patchy, but you know, sometimes clover takes a couple years to kick in. We'll get some, you know, what is it, atrazine or some kind of a
they call it a rest, I think.
A rest,
whatever, but it's basically it'll kill weeds but allow the clover to continue to grow. But yeah, we'll get some of that and control these weeds. But what I like about this is that the clover is taking up here, and I didn't think we'd get anything to grow up here hardly.
So we planted a couple different varieties of clover. We've got that annual clover, and that was from I'm just going to call it a generic seed. It was cheaper and whatever. That did not do well. I mean, almost all over the place. You know, we drilled it in exactly the same. So there's something to Whitetail Institute. I will give them credit. Their stuff is expensive, but it does work better overall.
Well, they have a seed coating, and I don't know what that is, but their seeds seem to take better for whatever reason. I don't know. But
so yeah, look at this soil, guys. It's like a driveway. It is limestone, you know, and the reason that we did this, I don't know if you guys watched my other video, but you know, we did this because this plot is hard to get to. And it's small, it gets overbrowsed. So we thought, all right, let's try some clover up here to see what would work. And I'm convinced this is gonna work. We hit this with some chemicals, this will take right off. So, pretty happy with this. So that right there actually is some rye that didn't get killed off. So don't worry about that. That's might look bad to you, but that's just rye. So we always put rye down everywhere.
we'll kill that, no problem.
All right, quick update on some of the cover crops that we planted 7 weeks ago. Brother Aaron here. All right, so behind Brother Aaron, what we got is This was a row of buckwheat, and this was a annual clover chickweed mix. And if you look close, there's hardly anything here. There's no clover and very little chickweed. So complete crop failure on this end. Don't know why exactly. We drilled it in. Over here, we've got buckwheat. So let's talk about this buckwheat. It's supposed to be a lot taller than this. So what it's supposed to look like is that right there. So that's inside the fencing. Okay, it's supposed to be flowered out. It's supposed to be almost waist high, really thick. And we'll show you some other areas where it did turn out. But Aaron, what do you think? Like, why didn't this grow?
Oh, it's for sure browsing pressure. Like if you look at all these, they're just browsing these off like crazy. And so what's happening here is that there's does bedding in there and they're bedding in here and they're just coming out here to feed, which this is just a cover crop, but that's just what you're going to get in some of these areas. You know, some of the areas down there where they're not browsing as well, you'll see, but it's just browsing pressure is all it is, and it's a cover crop, so I guess it's just kind of what you're going to have to deal with. But I'm 99% sure that's the issue here.
Yeah, so double-edged sword, guys. We got a lot of deer. It's awesome for hunting, but it's just a huge problem for trying to grow food plots, and so that's why we do this. You know, this is the fenced-in beans. We've kind of mastered this, right? We're trying to extend the fencing, but you know, it's a pain in the butt. You got to take this fence down, you got to put it back up. So we'd love to fence the whole area, but it's a lot of work. But all right, on to the next area. We'll give you another buckwheat update. All right, this is the area that probably has the best soil and the perfect amount of sunlight. So we get our best crops in this area, and let's just talk about what the buckwheat did. All right, so this is a narrow, skinny little food plot, and this buckwheat is about, I'm just gonna walk over there, Aaron. This buckwheat is, so Aaron's about 5'11", 6 foot tall. It's almost waist high on him. It's definitely waist high on me. And it's all flowered out. So you can kind of look down there. Look how it's, you know, the organic matter that we're going to get here is amazing.
And the other thing is you don't see very little browsing pressure over here. For whatever reason, I know where their bedding is. They come right out and they just want to feed. So it's like they're keeping it mowed, but then as you come over here, they will feed over here eventually as that stuff goes down in the fall and things. But right now, this is what buckwheat is supposed to do. I mean, it's pretty amazing. So what you're saying is over here, this is as close to their bedding as possible. Yep. We call that the buck bedroom over there. Yep. They're just eating that first. Yep. Eventually they would get to this. Now this just got sprayed. That's why there's tracks in here, the tractor, but yeah. Just wonderful organic matter. I mean, this is awesome. And all that nutrients, because the buckwheat will pull all that up, and then all this nutrients will stay in the soil. So it's just going to keep getting better and better. So it's good stuff.
This is what we wanted to happen everywhere, but it didn't happen everywhere for, you know, there's multiple reasons why. But so I would say buckwheat works under certain circumstances. You got to control the browsing, you got to control weeds, you got to have the right amount of sunlight. Perfect storm right here. Awesome. Here we got browsing. A little bit of a problem.
It's still going to work though. I mean, it's a cover crop, so it's still going to work, right? We're still going to get our fall crop in there, knock it over. It's still going to work. So it's not ideal, but it's going to work. So
we'll have 12 months to talk about what we're going to do for next year. But so hopefully you guys learned a little bit about buckwheat.
You know, the side note is look at all the bees. You know, there's bees everywhere. The pollinators. I mean, it's just kind of a cool little crop. I mean, as I look around, there's just bees everywhere in there. It's kind of neat.
You know, you know more about the nutrient part of this than I do. I'm kind of the tractor driver, but you know, what does buckwheat do to the soil? It's supposed to do something, right?
Well, so it pulls up the nutrients, right? It shades out weeds, pulls up nutrients. So you can look in here, there's very little weeds in here too, which is cool. but it's pulling up nutrients into this, and then as you kill it, it just pulls it back. So it's like a natural green fertilizer is what it is. And so if you can get it to do this, this is what you're doing. All these bees that are pollinating and doing what they do are helping out everything too. So pretty cool.
Okay guys, I'm standing inside the fenced in beans, and we kind of have a mixed bag of growth happening here. So I'll kind of walk you through it and talk through it. This area right here has always struggled. It's the worst soil. It gets the hottest, and you can see we got serious weed issues. There are beans in here, but look at all that yellow stuff. That's not supposed to be there. Interesting though, this little area that has a yellow, that was buckwheat last year. I don't know if we just didn't get good weed control and what that's about, but kind of interesting that where we had buckwheat last year now has a lot of weeds. An interesting point here is we did not spray these beans 3 weeks after they were planted. We just didn't do it. You're supposed to do it. We didn't do it. So that's why this area is kind of crappy, to be honest. We should have way better soybeans in here than we do. And sorry about the wind, guys, and the audio here. I forgot my GoPro, so we're just gonna make do. But I'm gonna walk you down and show you the corn here. Okay, this end of the bean field is where we had fenced beans last year. It's had great weed control over the years, so much better soybean crop on this end of the field. So I'll kind of give you a panoramic. That's where it's not doing so well and we have weeds. This end is doing really well. So that right there, by the way, is corn. It's a little short right now because it got planted so late. It could be healthier, no question about it, but I think it'll still get to have some ears and be a decent corn crop. I had the setting correct here, so that'll turn out, I think. But you know, if you look down in here, there are some weeds. There's some residual clover from the fall crop, which has clover in it. So clover can be tough to kill. But for the most part, the weed control isn't too bad in here for not getting sprayed 3 weeks after we planted. This is pretty good. But you know, I guess the lesson learned here is, you know, don't skip that application of glyphosate 3 weeks after you plant soybeans. It works so much better. They don't have to compete with the weeds. But what's interesting about this area is it had really good rye too. So the rye has great weed suppressing characteristics to it. And so I think our system is coming together. Get that rye to come up. We're going to probably buy a crimper and let the rye really build the soil. So kind of a mixed bag, but you know what? It's deer hunting, and we'll do well. All right, guys, that's going to do it for today. We're going to wrap up this video. That's the food plot update. So 7 weeks of growth. This is kind of what we got going, and we did learn a few things. So thanks for being with us. Hopefully you learned a few things. Feel free to make a comment. I'd love to hear your experiences with food plots and all that. And so, hey, hit that subscribe button if this is your first time here, and hit the like button if you're a returning subscriber. Really appreciate it. And hey, everybody, have fun out there. Keep it in the timber. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.